before the actual incident, you recorded an album on, was it Black Market Records?
No, I started a production company of my own. I'm just this 16-year-old kid, right? I'm running around Southside, and I was going to this continuation school because I got kicked out. Gangbang got kicked out of the regular high school, and I went to Daylor, William Daylor, and while I was there, you had this hodgepodge makeup of all these different dudes from different neighborhoods. You know what I mean? And legendary cats like a dude named Gangster from Flat Dog Krebs is there. The big Slim from 6'8" Dog was there. Or his little brother Smiley actually was there. But there was a kid, most importantly, there was a kid named Peanut there. And we called him DJ Tantrum, and he had all these records, crates and crates. His name is Percy Hunter. And Percy, we were doing freestyles, just having fun, those of us who had a little bit of spit, because Smiley had some flows. And we used to battle. There was another kid named Stan there that was from Oakland, and he had flows. Shout out to my boy Mill. And so we used to go to Percy's house and just fuck around. This fool had 4 tracks, you know, SP 1200s, crates and crates of records, because he was a good kid, and his parents, I don't know how a good kid ends up at a continuation school, but, you know, his family bought him the equipment to keep him out the streets. So I actually made my first songs that got around on tape at Percy Hunter's house, and then the homies just started bumping it because I was giving it up for the set. You know, I was giving it up for Southside, and then I didn't even know that shit was floating around. So, 6 actually came to a Christmas party we had. Every year, my grandmother died on December 17th in 86. And,
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That was another significant trigger. But, so every year the family had a little gathering. So we all got together, and 6 came with my cousin Nicole. They were dating. She brought him with her, and he started reading the lyrics that I had hanging up on my wall. We used to use thumbtacks to put my songs on the wall when I finished them. And he was reading it like, who the fuck is this? Who wrote this? And then Percy was DJing the party. So that turns into he brings Lynch over because they all 10 years older than me, right? So he's like, man, I'm going to bring somebody to see you tomorrow. So he brings Lynch. And both of these dudes are, you know, they got a name for themselves in the South Side at the time for, they were dancing and doing backflips and shit and spitting rhymes.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Everybody knew about them. And so he brought Lynch over. And we went all day and all night just spitting rhymes on break beats and just hanging out. And as a result of those sessions, we go to Inharmonic and start working with John Box in a real studio. And that created the Niggas in Black EP, the first thing that I ever made for real.
And you work on Psychoactive.
Well, I made up this little production company called 24D Productions with the assistance of Robert Starkey and the twins, Raymond and Richard Starkey, who are Jerome McCoy's cousins. And we pressed our own tapes. Like I remember seeing MCA's blue tape and I always loved it, so I wanted a clear cassette tape that had blue writing on it, you know, and then I got a clear cassette tape with gold writing. And I did it like the big homie Too Short. You know, Uncle Short was out there moving them through the trunk. That was a legendary story. So I'm like, I'm going to do it like the big homie did it. And we pressed them up and started handing them out. And that led to consignment deals, Tower Records, up in Northern Cali. And one of those ended up in the hands of Cedric Singleton. So Cedric Singleton starts looking for me. Miko Ure was looking for me, which, you know, nobody knew who it was, who X-Rated was. They knew that it was out. There's a dude put some music out, but nobody knew it was me. And so I remember I got caught up with the little homies where and we got pulled over. And
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
We had a strap in the car. There was a lot going on, right? So we go to juvenile hall. And while I was there, Miko was there, T-Bow's little brother. And people were talking about X-Rated. Actually, the staff were in Juvenile Hall was bumping my songs in Juvenile Hall. It was a trip. And so Young Meek is like, you're X-rated all this time, because I used to grind at the Butler's house right next door to me, Grandma's house. You know, everybody knows everybody between Kenworthy and Kim Avenue on 23rd, right across like Babette, that whole area of the set. So once he found out it was me, we exchanged information. He like, look, man, when we get out of here, you got to holler at me. So, well, when I left there, I hit up Young Meek because, you know, as he's reported himself, you know, he was getting his paper however he chose to do so, right? So Young Meek was with the shit. And so Meek hit up Harmonica just get a whole block of studio time. He's just a young hustler with significant ambition. You know, I have a lot of respect for where he was at and how he was pushing in his life at this period of time. In retrospect, you know, it took some balls to pull off what he was pulling off at that age. I didn't even know how old he was. And so he just buys his block of studio time, and me, Lynch, and Six go in there and start making what came to be Psychoactive without Black Market Records at all. Meek, he started interacting with Cedric. So we go to Cedric's house. He was in a house in G Parkway and had all the studio equipment and computers and secretaries and shit in there. And he had already put out Homicide from Oak Park, The Doghouse, which is a banging ass song, Sacramento classic. And you know, it was one of my goals to be better than Homicide. So it was like, okay, we go to Black Market Records to see what they talking about. And so it kind of turned into a bit of a battle in there with the artists that they had at the time, and they were not good enough to withstand that particular onslaught. So we left there with a deal. And the only song left to do at the time was That Sickness. So we literally made one song when we gave Black Market Psychoactive. The entire album was done. Me, Lynch, Six, Nico, Tantrum, and John Boss and the staff at Inharmonic made that record by ourselves. And then the last song was made, That Sickness was made at Cedric's studio and mixed by me and Cedric. And that was it. That was Psychoactive.